Welcome everyone to Midwest Madness Battle of the Monster Trucks, our 1-year anniversary show. We've got 32 of the fastest monster trucks from back in the day, throwing it down to try to become the champion. All eyes are on Ethan Wagner and Wildhair, who became the champion last month and is ready to hold on to the flag. Can he make it 2 in a row? Find out next. Coming up next to kick off the first round here at Midwest Madness Battle of the Monster Trucks, we got 2 Fords going at it, old versus new. First here in the near lane is Violet Craddock driving the 1979 Mountain Monster. She is set to take on the king of the Monster Trucks, Jarrett Booker driving Bigfoot over there in the far lane. A 1993 Ford. Let's see if Violet can spark the upset. Waiting on the green light. And the Mountain Monster gets out to a slight lead. Did she hold it? Wow, Bigfoot started to come back in the end. That was close. Definitely have to check the replay to confirm, but did we just see the biggest upset of the night in the first race? We'll find out. Bigfoot did start to make up a lot of ground there. As you see, that's just too close to call. And Bigfoot came back in the end and barely got it by a half a tire. Jarrett Booker and Bigfoot's moving on to round 2. And coming up next, first here in the near lane, we got Jeremy Hiles making his Midwest Madness debut in that 1972 Chevy C10 known as Texas Tumbleweed. He is staged and ready to go, but he is set to take on another Midwest Madness newcomer, Keith Cromwell, over there in the blue lane, driving the 1987 GMC Sierra known as Kodiak. Let's see which rookie can move on to round 2, waiting on the green light. And Texas Tumbleweed gets out to a huge lead. Keith was trying to chase him down, but Texas Tumbleweed puts the Kodiak on the trailer, and he is moving on to round 2. Coming up next, we got a classic Chevy versus Ford matchup. First, here in the near lane is Caden Prazak out of Chaos Motorsports driving the 1992 Terminator 3 Ford. He is staged and ready to go, but set to take on Walker Stevens over there in the blue lane driving the 1982 Chevy Silverado known as King Crunch. Both drivers looking for a big win here in round 1, waiting on the green light. And Terminator 3 gets out to a huge lead. King Crunch could not keep up, no doubt about it. That was Caden Prazak's best run he's ever had here on this track, and he is moving on to round 2. Coming up next, we got another Chevy versus Ford matchup. First, in the near lane is the Midwest Madness newcomer Brandon Allen driving the 1986 Chevy Silverado known as Nightmare. He is staged and ready to go, but set to take on Hunter Craddock over there in the blue lane driving the King Kong Ford. Both drivers waiting on the green light. And they're even down the stretch, fighting back and forth, but they make contact right before the finish line. King Kong crosses first, but what a finish to that race. Both drivers wanted that win bad. Hunter Craddock comes away with it. Let's take a look at the replay. There you see Nightmare gets to jump off the line. He crosses into King Kong's lane. They make contact. Hunter keeps that wheel straight and gets the King Kong Ford across the line first. He will be your winner, putting Brandon Allen and Nightmare on the trailer for the night. Battle of the Chevys. First, here in the near lane is Carson Wells out of Wells Motorsports driving the 1972 Chevy K10 known as the AM/PM Rocket. He is set to take on the Midwest Madness newcomer, Tyler Medley, over there in the blue lane, driving the Gulf Oil Super Special. Both drivers looking for a big win here in round one, waiting on the green light. And the Rocket has him off the line. Something must have happened to the Gulf Oil Super Special over there in the far lane. Carson Wells and the AM/PM Rocket is moving on to round two. Another Ford versus Chevy matchup. First here in the near lane is the one-time Midwest Madness champion Shaggy Matt Cheever driving the 1978 Ford known as First Blood. He is set to take on Fifi Karis over there in the blue lane driving the 1987 Chevy Silverado Wasted Wages. Both drivers looking to get into the second round. Wait on the green light. And they're even down the stretch. Wasted Wages trying to come back over no man's land, but First Blood gets it done. Shaggy and Matt Cheever pulls away from Wasted Wages and gets the win, putting Team Ford up 3-0 here tonight. Coming up next, we got an all-Chevy matchup. First, here in the near lane is Joshua Wells out of Wells Motorsports driving that 1972 Chevy K10 known as the AM/PM Boss. He is making his last appearance here on Midwest Madness. We wish him well in his future endeavors, but he is set to take on the one-time Midwest Madness champion Rudy Zilligy driving that 1986 Chevy K20 known as Taurus. Both drivers waiting on the green light. Oh, what a race we got here. Both drivers are going for it. Two of the fastest runs we've seen tonight. Both drivers cross the finish line, door handle to door handle. What a race. We'll have to check the replay to see what happened there. Both trucks were absolutely going for it. As Steve would say, a rocket ship down a bowling alley. Here we go. And the AM/PM Boss got the lead off the line, but Taurus made up a lot of ground over no man's land, and I think picked up the win. A good run nonetheless from Joshua Wells, but it just wasn't enough. Rudy Zilligy and Taurus is moving on to round two. Also, I want to give a quick shout out to the driver of Clydesdale, my good buddy Bradley Graham, for helping out in the commentary booth here tonight. I'm passing the mic over to him now.
What's going on, Midwest Madness fans? It's your boy Bradley Graham here, up in the booth with none other than downtown Mitch Brown, and I just want to say it's an honor to be up here with him again, doing this old school shows. We got Brian Prazak, one-time Midwest Madness winner, and a good buddy of mine in the Stomper Bully, and he's going to be taking on Ethan Wagner in the Cyclops Chevrolet. It's a battle of the bow ties here in this round one matchup, as they get set to go green. Down the stretch now, they're pretty even up and over through no man's land. It looked like Brian Prazak and the Stomper Bully got the win. Ethan Wagner with a pretty solid run. I don't know if it was enough to catch up to him, though. We're going to check this replay here. As you see, they go off the line. Pretty good start by both trucks, up and over no man's land, looking good. Ethan just in a little trouble.
Up next, we got a battle of Ford versus Chevy. First here in the near lane is Aaron Church, bringing the 1979 Ford known as the West Virginia Mountaineer to the line. He is staged and ready to go, but set to take on Emily Graham over there in the far lane, driving the 1985 GMC Sierra known as Barefoot. Both drivers looking for a big win here in round one, waiting on the green light. And they're even down the stretch, maybe a slight lead to Mountaineer, but he gets bobbled up over the car stack there and gives room for Emily Graham and Barefoot to come through and get the win. Whoa, what a save by both trucks there through no man's land. Let's take a look at the replay. What a crazy race. Awesome save from Aaron Church and Emily Graham. Let's take a look at the replay. There you see Mountaineer gets off the line first, has about a quarter of a truck length lead, but Barefoot comes back in the end. What a save by both drivers. Barefoot is moving on. Coming up next, we got two of the first champions in the monster truck industry going at it. First, in the near lane is Jeffrey Skipper driving Equalizer. He is staged and ready to go, but set to take on the one-time Midwest Madness champion, Jalen Buford out of Chaos Motorsports driving the USA 1 Chevrolet. The 88 champion versus the 89 champion. Both drivers waiting on the green light. And Equalizer gets out to a slight lead, but USA 1 comes back in the end and gets the win. Something happened to Equalizer there over no man's land. But nonetheless, Jalen Buford and USA 1 puts him on the trailer and is moving on to round 2. Let's take a look at the replay and see what happened to Equalizer. Both drivers get off the line fairly even, but Equalizer has a hard landing on that left side, giving way for Jalen Buford and the USA 1 to take that win. Coming up next, we got a battle of the Chevys. First here in the near lane is Chad Legit driving Tropical Thunder. He is staged and ready to go, but set to take on Rich Wagner, debuting a brand new ride, the 1989 Chevy C10 Thunder Chicken. He's looking to make a big splash here tonight, but he has a tough challenger here in round 1. Both drivers waiting on the green light. And they're even down the stretch. Tropical Thunder might have had a slight lead, but Thunder Chicken comes back in the end and gets the win. Rich Wagner making a big splash here tonight in his first night in that new truck and picks up the win. And is moving on to round 2. Tropical Thunder was hanging right there with him, though. Let's take a look at the replay. Both trucks get off the line at about the same time, but Rich Wagner makes up a lot of ground over no man's land in the last car stack and takes the win. Coming up next, first here in the near lane is the 4-time Midwest Madness champion Nugget driving that 1951 Ford panel van known as the Grave Digger. He's one of the fan favorites here tonight, but he is set to take on Raylan Mullins over there in the blue lane driving that 1984 Corvette known as Monster Vet. She has her hands full here tonight. She's taking on the 4-time champion here in round 1. Waiting on the green light. And Gravedigger gets out to a big lead, but Monster Vet goes end over end in no man's land. What a crazy, violent crash for Raylan Mullins and Monster Vet, but Gravedigger picks up the win. Let's take a look at the replay to see what happened. What a crazy crash. It looked like Monster Vet veered off to the right just a little bit off the launch of the ramp, and the back right wheel clipped on that hay bale, and end over end she went. What a crazy crash. Her night is over. Nugget and Gravedigger's moving on. Coming up next, we got another good one. First here in the near lane is Charles Stevens driving the 1972 Chevy K10 known as the Exterminator. He is set to take on Jimmy Bones Ferguson over there in the blue lane driving the 1992 Black Stallion Ford. Chevy versus Ford. Both drivers waiting on the green light. And Exterminator has a slight lead going down the stretch, but barely puts on the brakes right before crossing into Black Stallion over the last car stack. What a job putting that truck to a stop. He definitely saves Black Stallion from going over, but let's take another look at that unbelievable turn of events there. Exterminator started to get crossed up there and crosses into Black Stallion's lane and gets a shutdown in the perfect time. Jimmy gets across the line first. He will be your winner. Whoa. Up next, first here in the near lane is Mike Council driving the 1985 GMC High Sierra known as the Buffalo Trimmer. He is staged and ready to go, but set to take on Jason Craddock over there in the blue lane driving the Chevy C10 known as the Michigan Ice Monster. Both drivers staged and waiting on the green light. And Buffalo Trimmer gets out to a huge lead, but slams on the front end real hard over that first jump. And Michigan Ice Monster slides through and gets the win. Let's take a look at the replay. There you see Buffalo Trimmer got a great jump off the line, but slammed super hard on that right side, and the Midwest Madness track crew is going to have to tow him off the track. Mike will be back. And coming up next, we got a battle of Chevys. First, here in the near lane is Megan Prazak out of Chaos Motorsports driving the Chevy C10 known as Titan. She is set to take on Bradley Graham out of his brand new team, Renegade Bros Racing, driving Clydesdale. Outlaw Motorsports is no more. He will now be with Renegade Bros Racing. Both drivers waiting on the green light. And they're even down the stretch. Whoa! Even all the way to the finish line. Door handle to door handle, fighting back and forth. That's going to have to come down to a photo finish right there. We'll definitely have to check the replay. Cannot call it. What a race. The closest of the night so far. Let's take a look at it. And they're even down the stretch, but Bradley Graham has a great bounce there over no man's land, and I think got in there first, but Megan was cutting him absolutely no slack. She was right there with him. Still too close to call. Titan got the jump off the line, barely. I think Clydesdale got the win. What a race. That was so close. Let's get a photo finish here. And yes, Clydesdale gets it by not even a half a tire. Bradley Graham's moving on. Coming up next to close out an awesome first round, we got a battle of Chevys. First here in the near lane is the reigning and defending Midwest Madness champion, Ethan Wagner, driving Wild Hair. He is set to take on Savvy Zillogy over there in the far lane, driving the 1987 Chevy K20 known as the Excalibur. Both drivers waiting on the green light. Savvy's looking for an upset. And they're even down the stretch, door handle to door handle, but Excalibur passes the champion in no man's land. There will be a new champion here tonight. Wild Hair has been dethroned here in the first round. What an upset. Savvy Zillogy is moving on to round two. Let's take a look at the replay. They're absolutely even off the line, but Excalibur has a better time through no man's land and picks up the win. Another quick reminder, I'll never stop doing this, but everybody get on over to the MTA channel and check out Tuesday Night Smashdown and Thursday Night Thunder every week. Plus, at the end of the month, look out for the big 32 truck race the MTA puts on. This month is Maximum Carnage. When this show airs, it would have been last night, so get on over there to the MTA channel and check them out. The best diecast monster truck channel on YouTube, bar none. Check them out, Monster Truck Attitude on YouTube. And coming up next to kick off the second round, we got a Ford versus Chevy matchup. First here in the near lane is the king of the monster trucks, Jared Booker, driving the 1993 Bigfoot Ford. He is staged and ready to go, set to take on the Midwest Madness newcomer, Jeremy Hiles, over there in the blue lane, driving the 1972 Chevy C10, known as the Texas Tumbleweed. Jeremy's looking for a big upset, waiting on the green light. And Bigfoot has a slight lead going down the stretch and holds it all the way through. Jarrett, Booker, and Bigfoot is moving on to round 3. Tough luck for Jeremy, he will be back. But the king of the monster trucks is moving on to round 3. Coming up next, we got 2 Fords going at it, old versus new. First, here in the near lane is Caden Prazak out of Chaos Motorsports, driving the 1992 Terminator 3. He is set to take on Hunter Craddock over there in the blue lane, driving the 1975 King Kong. Both drivers looking for a spot in the 3rd round. And they're even down the stretch, maybe a slight lead to Terminator. King Kong was keeping up all the way. Both trucks have a good run, but I think Terminator 3 slid through at the end and got the win, barely. Let's take a look at the replay. Terminator might have got off the line first, but King Kong was cutting him no slack. Caden Prazak and Terminator is moving on. Chevy versus Ford. First here in the near lane is Carson Wells, driving the 1972 Chevy K10 known as the AM/PM Rocket. He is set to take on the one-time Midwest Madness champion Shaggy, Matt Cheever, driving the 1978 Ford known as First Blood. Both drivers waiting on the green light. And the Rocket gets out to an early lead, but has a hard bounce. Matt Cheever passes him, but something must have happened to Matt Cheever. He barely loses it right before the finish line and gives way for Carson Wells to make a comeback and get the win. The race is never over until it's over, ladies and gentlemen. The Rocket had the lead early. First Blood had the lead in the middle, but the Rocket comes back in the end and gets the win. Carson Wells and the AM/PM Rocket picks up a huge come-from-behind win. What a tough break for Matt Cheever in First Blood. The Midwest Madness track crew is towing him off the track now. That First Blood team has got their hands full. He is out of competition for the rest of the night. Coming up, we got a battle of Chevys. First here in the near lane is the one-time Midwest Madness champion Brian Prazak out of Chaos Motorsports, driving the 1984 Stomper Bully. He is staged and ready to go, set to take on the one-time Midwest Madness champion Rudy Zilligy, driving the 1986 Taurus. Both drivers waiting on the green light. And Stomper might have had a slight lead, but goes end over end in no man's land, trashes the truck, and gives room for Rudy Zilligy and Taurus to slide through and get the win. What a tough roll for Brian Prazak and the Stomper Bully. He is out of competition for the rest of the night. Rudy Zilligy and Taurus is moving on. Let's take a look at the replay. There you see Stomper jumps him off the line there, barely. Got about a half a tire length lead. But absolutely goes end over end right away there on the track. And no doubt, Rudy Zilligy and Taurus picks up the win. What a tough break for Brian Prazak. He will be back. Let's take one more look at it. That truck just went end over end so fast. Brian Prazak's out of the truck. He's doing all right. The Midwest Madness track crew's towing him off the track now. That Stomper Bully team has their hands full, but Brian will be back. Coming up next, we got 2 of the first and 2 of the most famous monster trucks ever created. First here in the near lane is the one-time Midwest Madness champion Jalen Buford, driving the USA 1 Chevrolet. He's looking for championship number 2 here tonight, but he is set to take on Emily Graham, driving that 1985 GMC known as Barefoot. Both drivers are waiting on the green light. And USA 1 gets a jump off the line, but Barefoot comes back in the end strong and wins that race by about 3 truck lengths. Emily, Graham, and Barefoot is moving on to round 3 with a statement.
Back at it again to call this round 2 action. We've got none other than the Midwest Madness dominator himself, Nugget, in that 51 Ford panel van, better known as the Grandma Gravedigger. And his opponent in the blue lane over here is none other than Rich Wagner, driver of the Thunder Chicken here tonight. It's going to be a Ford-Chevy matchup. We're going to see if Rich can upset Nugget here, or is Nugget going to continue dominating as we get set to go green down the stretch. Nugget got him off the line. Oh, my gosh. What a close race down there. I cannot tell you who got it from up here in the booth. We're going to check that replay here and see who got the win. They were door handle to door handle all the way down. It was like an old-school gunfight here. Off the stretch, off the light here, they got a good start. Both of them did. Maybe a slight lead to Nugget. Go up and over the first roller here through no man's land. Rich Wagner trying to make up the ground, and right there, it was not quite enough. As you're going to see here, Nugget in the Gravedigger barely beating out Rich Wagner in the Thunder Chicken. What an awesome race. Look at that finish right there. It doesn't get any closer than that, folks. What a heck of a race.
Coming up next, first here in the near lane is Jimmy Bones Ferguson driving the 1992 Ford known as Black Stallion. He is set to take on Jason Craddock over there in the blue lane driving the 1978 Chevy C10 known as the Michigan Ice Monster. Both drivers look good in round 1. Spot in the third round is on the line, waiting on the green light. And they're even down the stretch. Black Stallion gets bobbled up just for a little bit. What a good recovery. But I think Jason Craddock and the Michigan Ice Monster got the win. Let's take a look at the replay. There you see Ice Monster has about a quarter tire length lead. What a save from Jimmy Ferguson. He got out of shape bad there and gathered it up really well, but just did not have enough to chase down the Michigan Ice Monster. Jason Craddock is moving on to round 3. Coming up next to close out the second round. First, here in the near lane is Savvy Zillogy driving the 1987 Chevy K20 known as Excalibur. She is staged and ready to go, set to take on a fellow teammate, Bradley Graham, out of the brand new team, the Renegade Bros Racing, driving Clydesdale. One of these teammates is going to find themselves in the third round. Who's it going to be? Waiting on the green light. And they're even down the stretch. Clydesdale's starting to pull ahead. Savvy got crossed up a little bit over the last car stack. Bradley, Graham, and Clydesdale is moving on to round 3 with a fantastic run. Kicking off the third round with a battle of the Fords. First here in the near lane is the king of the monster trucks, Jarrett Booker, driving the 1993 Bigfoot. He is staged and ready to go, set to take on Caden Prazak over there in the blue lane, who has looked awesome all night long, driving the 1992 Terminator 3. Spot in the semifinals awaits the winner. Both drivers have looked awesome all night. This is going to be good. And they're even down the stretch. Terminator might have had slightly, but Bigfoot comes back in the end and gets it done. Bigfoot puts Terminator 3 on the trailer. Let's take a look at the replay. Terminator got the jump off the line, but Bigfoot stays straight all the way through. Terminator got crossed up, and Bigfoot gets the win. Bigfoot is moving on to the semifinals, but who will join him there as we have a Chevy versus Chevy matchup coming up next. My good buddy Bradley Graham is going to commentate the next race. He and his wife Emily have races coming up in the third round. Stay tuned for that. Passing the mic over to Bradley.
Coming up next here in round 3, none other than Rudy Zillogy, the old hellbilly himself in the old Taurus Chevrolet. is going to face off against Carson Wells and another good-looking Chevrolet, the AMPN Rocket. Both trucks have ran good all night. They are here in round 3 to see who's going to get a spot in the semifinals. Two beautiful-looking trucks. Carson Wells rocking the AMPN Rocket. Always a good-looking truck. Rudy Zilli, he loves his Chevrolets. He's in that old Taurus Chevrolet over there. Let's see if he's got anything in the tank to take out Carson Wells here. A spot for the semis is on the line here as we get set to go green. Trucks are staged and ready. Down the stretch, Carson got him off the line, but trouble through no man's land as he crossed up lanes right there. Not sure if something broke in the rear end of the truck or it just got away from him there. Rudy Zillage is going to pick up the win and go on to the semifinals. We're going to double check this replay here to try to see what happened to Carson Wells. You see here off the line, he got him sitting there. Rudy was making a sandwich at the line, and across that first jump, he got crooked, and definitely something broke with Carson Wells. Rudy Zilage and Taurus is your winner here in round 3.
Another all-Chevy matchup. First here in the near lane is Carson Wells out of Wells Motorsports, driving that 1972 Chevy K10 known as the AMPM Rocket. He's looked like a rocket here tonight, trying to get some revenge for his teammate, but he is set to take on the one-time Midwest Madness champion Rudy Zillich, driving that 1986 champion Nugget, driving that 1951 Ford panel van known as Grave. Driver stage, waiting on the green light. He is set to take on Emily Graham over there in the far lane, driving that 1985 GMC. And the Rocket gets off the line first, holding the lead, but Taurus comes back in the end and gets it done. Both drivers looking for a big win here in round 3. The AMPM Rocket had a truck length lead. Something may have broken the rear end of that truck. Taurus gets the win by a truck. And they're even off the line. Barefoot might have had a slight lead. Holds it all the way through. Gravedigger was trying to chase her down, but had nothing for her. There you see the Rocket gets the lead off the line, but something in the rear end of that truck snaps, and Taurus comes back and gets the win. Emily Graham is on a mission here tonight. Look out for Barefoot. Another battle of the Chevys. First here in the near lane is Jason Craddock, driving that 1978 Chevy C10 known as the Michigan Ice Monster. He's ready to leave his opponent frozen in the other lane, but he is set to take on Bradley Graham out of his brand new team, Renegade Bros Racing, driving the Clydesdale Chevrolet. Both drivers looking for a spot in the semifinals, waiting on the green light. And the Ice Monster has a slight lead, but another hard landing for that truck in the near lane. A lot of trucks are having trouble on the landing. Bradley Graham comes through and gets the win in the far lane. Tough luck for Jason Craddock. Another quick shout out to the reason my channel exists and many others. Monster Truck Attitude over there on YouTube is having their big event next Saturday night on April 29th called Maximum Carnage. I won the event last year and I'm looking to go back to back, but I recommend everybody get on over to the Monster Truck Attitude YouTube channel and check them out. They are the reason I exist and many other Diecast Monster Truck channels exist. So, once again, Monster Truck Attitude on YouTube, the best Diecast Monster Truck channel out there. Check them out. And kicking off the semifinals, first here in the near lane is Jared Booker, driving the 1993 Bigfoot Ford, the last Ford standing here tonight. He's looking to represent, but he is set to take on the one-time Midwest Madness champion Rudy Zilligy, driving the 1986 Chevy K20, known as Taurus. Spot in the finals awaits the winner, waiting on the green light. And they're even down the stretch. Bigfoot might have slightly, but Taurus comes back in the end again. The comeback kid, Rudy Zilligy, has made a comeback in almost every race he's had tonight and is moving on to the finals here at Midwest Madness. Let's take a look at the replay. There you see Bigfoot has a slight lead, maybe a quarter tire, but Taurus makes up a lot of ground. What a comeback. Nothing but bragging rights on the line on this one. Graham versus Graham, husband versus wife. First here in the near lane is Bradley Graham driving the Chevy Silverado known as Clydesdale. He is staged and ready to go, set to take on Emily Graham over there in the far lane driving that 1985 GMC known as Barefoot. Bragging rights and maybe even the dishes are on the line on this one. Both drivers waiting on the green light. Winner takes on Rudy Zilligy and Taurus. And Emily Graham and Barefoot has to jump off the line, but Bradley comes back in the end with a perfect run. He makes up the ground in no man's land and is moving on to the finals to take on his teammate Rudy Zilligy and Taurus. Let's take a look at the replay. Barefoot has a slight lead, but lands hard. What a good save by Emily Graham there in the far lane, but Bradley is moving on. Coming up next, it is finals time, ladies and gentlemen. We started with 32 trucks, and we've worked our way down to 2. We got a battle of teammates, a battle of former one-time Midwest Madness champions, and a battle of Chevys. First here in the near lane is Bradley Graham, driving the Clydesdale Chevrolet. He is set to take on his teammate, Rudy Zilligy, over in the far lane, driving the 1986 Chevy K20 known as Taurus. Whoever wins this is going to be the second driver to win 2 championships on the track. Waiting on the green light. And they're even down the stretch, but Bradley Graham gets on 2 wheels over no man's land and rides that front wheel stand and goes end over end. Rudy Zilligy and Taurus becomes a 2-time Midwest Madness champion. What a ride for Bradley Graham. He might have had a slight lead, but his teammate gets it done. Rudy Zilligy and Taurus is a 2-time Midwest Madness champion. Let's take another look at that. What a wild ride from Bradley Graham. There you see he gets off the line first and rides that wheel stand across almost the whole track trying to keep the lead over his teammate. What a piece of driving from Bradley Graham and Clydesdale, but it won't be enough. His teammate and Rudy Zilligy claims his 2nd championship here on Midwest Madness. Thank you, everyone, for coming out and watching Midwest Madness Battle of the Monster Trucks. Congratulations to Rudy Zilligy and Taurus on becoming the 2nd 2-time champion here at Midwest Madness. And we will see everybody next time, late May, for Midwest Madness Thrills and Spills 2. I've been your host, Mitch Brown, and thank you, everyone, for watching. Please like and subscribe.